We were running a campaign and the open rate was around about 45%.
Welcome to another episode of HubHype. Today is Friday, the best day of the week.
That's true, as always.
Usually we record this on Thursdays, so it's not as always. But the weather is not so good today. If you're wondering, in Portugal, I think it will be raining in the weekend. But anyways, at least it's a good excuse to stay indoors and watch some movies or something. So last time we talked, or I mean, I mentioned that I was doing the HubSpot Trainer certification, and finally I did it. So I am a HubSpot
Perfect.
Certified Trainer now. I thought bringing this up because I'm super happy about this. So that's the first reason. And then the second one is just to give you an advice for everyone thinking about doing. I know you, I mean, no one asked, but I'm giving it anyway. So one thing that I recognize, because this is not like the other certifications. So the kind of the structure is the same. You do have tons of courses and like videos, and then you're doing a final exam at the end, 1 hour, with 60 questions. But instead of having like a couple questions in each after each course or each lesson, you have a workbook and you have to deliver um, tons of different exercises or activities. And you actually have to create like a training plan and promote your training and all the things you would do if you were actually doing a training. So usually my trainings I do it like, okay, let's just save 1 hour at the end of the day to do it. So because you need to be sharp and fresh, you should not save it to the end of the day. At least it would not work for me. So sometimes I was just doing that in a couple hours over the weekend or first thing in the morning. But what I can say is this course is really good. It's really well structured. It really gives you all the right tools, especially if you're one that never performed trainings or workshops before. This really covers everything that you need to think about, the audience you're training, and as well preparing yourself for the training. So it's really, really, really good. So that's a good one, and I'm happy now that I'm part of that community of trainers.
Yeah, that's a great result, which brings me also to the HubSpot Academy because I think people can really learn a lot about it. So one thing which also I think it's included in this course is doing the inbound certification as well. So we as a team, we said we have to train a little bit more inside of HubSpot because there are so many tools and features and whatever you can find. And we do this on a regular basis. So whenever there's something on the HubSpot Academy, which I can really recommend because it's well prepared content, also a lot of exams. So to prove if you really learned everything, so that's a great thing really to do. I love it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, you do have to have inbound marketing, inbound sales, marketing hub, and sales hub. And of course, be employed in a HubSpot Gold partner. So those are the prerequisites for that. Yeah, so but Irving, how's been your month in terms of dealing
Whew.
dealing with customers?
Yeah, to be honest, a busy month as always. So as you so a little bit of an advertisement block. So we are offering a free HubSpot audit, as I mentioned that the last time. So we are getting in 2 requests per week now, which is great. We see a lot of stuff which are in those platforms which can be improved. So on the one hand side, to see how much effort people are putting into the instance. On the other hand, there are a lack of reporting, I would say, to really manage the success of their platform. So I can really encourage everyone to do a little bit of an audit, either with us or with another partner. because you really have to see after a period of time if still the nurtures are running what you set up, if the scoring is working. Data is a big thing everywhere, and sometimes also disconnected things. The other thing I was focusing this month was really to set up the preference center for our customers of ours. I will tackle that a little bit later. And also, we tested, and I promised to give some results today about the testing of the data enrichment, which was a recommendation of a LinkedIn post, which was great as well. And then I was working a little bit more on LinkedIn, how to integrate that into HubSpot. And yeah, so busy week, successful a week and month, and exhausted, but as always, with a good feeling.
Yeah, I mean, it's really amazing what you find when you're running audits, right? Sometimes because we are so into our daily tasks, there are things running that we have no idea. So when you have someone which is 100% focused on understanding what has been implemented and trying to optimize it, then it allows you. I think the audits is more like to give you visibility of what's happening,
Mhm.
and then you can decide to do an actually action plan on it, or prioritize it, or do it in-house with the resources you have, or actually trying to get help from an agency. And sometimes, I mean, especially if you're now using HubSpot as your CRM and you have other system integrated, it's good that you make sure that everything is running, because who's creating leads, who's actually the owner of your funnel, all of those things. Sometimes you have no idea that you have so many clutter actually as well in your portal,
Mhm.
tons of overdue tasks. So I mean, sometimes it's really crazy. So and some in some cases, some things it's like a whole project that you have to focus on it. But in some cases, those things are not so time consuming. They are just forgotten, and that means that your portal gets overwhelmed. And especially when in terms of contacts engagement and who's the right content that you have to have in your system and everything, that has a bigger impact because of pricing, right? So and actually talking about pricing, there will be the migration up for the new pricing
Mhm.
model, and this is happening during the next month. I think it's starting now in the beginning of March until beginning of April or something. So now there's like you have to pay per seat. So there's this new switch for new portals, and existing portals will as well be affected. So make sure you have that for you and for your clients as well. You don't forget it.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, coming back a little bit to the audit. So what was really nice, so when we did the very first audit, I don't know, 2 years ago or something, the outcome was around about 10 or 12 pages in PowerPoint with recommendations. Now we ended up, I think the last one was 45 pages or something. And it's really great to see, just based on the portal information, what improvements a customer can do. It is not, we are not saying it's a bad thing what you do currently, but we just want to make those portals more efficient so that it can work for you, that you save time and money. And that's super important, I think. And since it's free, I can just encourage everyone to do it. So that was the advertisement block.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And another thing is sometimes things are not working because you don't have the correct data in, or you're capturing data which is not enough to qualify your leads. Like, for instance, if you're using a job title field or an industry, in most of the cases, really, out of our experience, especially if you're using the standard property in HubSpot, which is a free text field, you're just populating a field with tons of different values, and it's impossible to use it for segmentation. It's just not working like that. and you have to normalize the data. So that is information about fill rates and variance of values that you're also getting in an audit like this. And this is, by the way, something that you need. Usually, you need HubSpot Operations Hub, but we are doing that through our tool, which is for free. So sorry for continue to advertise that, but this is really so cool, and we are having such good feedback from everyone. And again, regardless if you do it with us or with any other partner, try to do these audits on a regular basis, not every month or every quarter if it makes sense, but at least like once a year or twice a year.
Yeah.
Uh, maybe not in every single thing, but some things really deserve your attention on a regular basis.
Yeah.
So let's keep these portals clean.
I agree. So, since you mentioned data, we did this data enrichment test. So, there was a post, I saw the post about how to use Company Enrich and Make in combination to enrich the data, because everyone now, I think, is aware of Insights is going away.
Yeah,
We are quite sad about that, but
that's true.
anyway. There are other solutions. So the recommendation for sure from HubSpot is to use Breeze, which is brilliant to enrich the data. But if you want to save some costs, there was this post, and we can put it in the links down below the podcast. Is there was a recommendation to use a tool which is called Company Enrich and Make. Make is an automation tool to enrich the data, just to test it for the first time. So it was quite easy to set it up, really, even as a non-technical, because we gave it to a teammate of us, and she was really, and she's not a programmer or something, but it was really easy to set it up. You just have to connect to your HubSpot instance or platform. Then you have access to Make. Then you configure a little bit of a workflow, and then you're using the free version of Company Enrich. So the good news is it's working. It's pretty good. The question is just, do you really want to use it? Because it's outside of HubSpot, so to say, and it's a kind of a religious question if you want to do this outside of HubSpot or inside HubSpot. Still, my recommendation would be use Breeze, but think about the data you really want to enrich. So, are you using the enrichment to run nurture programs, or do you need those information to do scoring? But per se, enrichment just to have enriched data doesn't make sense. So you always have to have a use case where you want to use those data. So it's working with the Company Enrich tool and Make in a combination. The setup time is around about 15 minutes, so it's really
And
boom,
it's
ready to go. It's quite
great.
easy, but really think about what you want to do with it. So I would give it a check. So this is working good. Just compare the pricing of Company Enrich if you want to use it or not. If you already have Make in your company, always think about crawling the website of those companies, because then you will get the information for free. For sure, you have to give tokens away for that, but if you have it already in the company, yeah, just use it. That would be
Yeah.
my recommendation.
You mentioned pricing, so of course it's important that you have a use case because you're
Yeah.
paying by credit, so it's one contact enriched, one credit, right? Do you think that doing this integration with Make in terms of pricing, it's good? Is a good switch?
So I would say, so pricing wise, I think it's a little bit cheaper than if you're using the combination of tools like Company Enrich, or you can also use Apollo for that one to get access to that one. It's really about your philosophy you have internally. So I'm a big fan of using standards. So Breeze is a standard. It
Yes.
might be that it will cost a little bit more than doing it outside of HubSpot. So I would rather go for Breeze, not because we are a gold partner and HubSpot partner, but it's really then everything is set already. You can use it whenever you want to. So, and you do not need any other tools for that. But if you already have Make or something else, or N8N, it's also an automation tool in place, then you maybe should use the other application.
Okay. Yeah, and because also Breeze gives you other functionalities
Yeah.
besides reach, like intent data, where actually we rewrote a few months ago a white paper about data enrichment.
Hmm.
Because we did had a lot of use cases for the HubSpot Insights. Since that's going away now, we are updating the white paper, so we will be looking even more and actually documented into a white paper, so you know everything, including pricing, and so you actually are ready to, because that's really something that if you're thinking
Yeah.
about implementing, it's an investment, so you have to think about it. Hopefully we can leave the link next time in the next podcast with everything you need to know about Breeze AI. But you definitely, if you want to, you definitely need to consider it because it seems like a great tool, really.
Yeah. True.
Thinking about, so we going back to the audit, and you were thinking that we are always looking into the preference center and how's that being set up and the subscription types and everything. You did that for a customer not long ago, right?
Yes, exactly. So we finished it up this month, so 2 weeks ago. So first, we really started to think about which communication channels do we have. So for sure, it's email, but channels. I mean, is it just a regular email? Is it about the product? Is it about investors? Is it about something else? So we really came up with different types. So in this case, I think it was around about 7 types. So external newsletter, internal newsletter, investor newsletter, and then some special newsletters. And then we thought about how can we bring our existing contacts, because they do not have the subscription yet to those channels, so to say, or subscription types, how it's called in HubSpot. How can we bring those into the different subscription types? Because what they have, for sure, they have a double opt-in for everyone. So which means everyone is eligible for every communication we are sending out, or every subscription time we are sending out. But it doesn't make sense to have let's say, an early contact, getting information which is in the customer lifecycle much more at the end. So we came up with a brainstorming session. It was around about 1 hour, where we say, okay, who do we want to have in which subscription types, right? So, and then we build out a program saying, based on a list we were creating in HubSpot, they are flowing into the different subscription types. So it was not a huge project, but it was a nice project because they have around 10,000 contacts in the database. And now we have the right subscription type for every contact in the system. And that's quite valuable because you make sure with those subscription types, first, that people hopefully do not unsubscribe for all the emails you're sending out. So just for one subscription type, which is good for the database, because then you also have, like the name says, a preference for those people. So they say and interact with you if this is quite good. What we will do coming next is we are sending out an email to the existing contact database, asking really for their subscription, because we have a program, internal program, which is named Frühjahrsputz in German, which comes from a colleague of mine back in time, which means spring cleaning. So whenever winter is over, right? So you do a spring cleaning in your room, and this is exactly what we are doing with the database, to also save some money for sure. Because when we see someone is not reacting 4 times on our emails, then we are deleting them from the system, because the probability that someone is opening an email the 5th time, it wouldn't happen. So we are cleaning that up, and also the preference center gives us the possibility to see the interest of topics of those contacts, and that's super nice. Really love it.
Yeah. Yeah, allows you to really do the right message and the right
Yeah.
content to people who are actually interested, so that you don't burn your database and you're sending things that to the wrong people, and they end up being disengaged. And that's a potential that could have been a potential, but it's not lost. So yeah, this is really super super important, and everyone needs it really. So I know that the double opt-in thing, it's more of a GDPR policy in Europe, but subscription types, everyone needs that to make sure that everyone
Yeah.
receives what they subscribe for and what they are interested in. Absolutely. Um, all right, so I really wanted to wrap today's episode with some HubSpot updates. And
Good.
I'm bringing three marketing updates. Some of them, so one I think it was just out a couple weeks ago. The other two was a little bit, I think 3 or 4 weeks ago. So you probably heard of that already. So the first one is the Canva integration. So this was already in, so this is nothing new. What is new is that now it's becoming much easier when you're creating a post or whatever, every time you're uploading an image, there's the possibility to upload an image out of your computer or to create it with Canva. And now the integration is much better because it's basically like an overlay in HubSpot. So you're not getting out of HubSpot. You're creating the image within minutes in your templates, and it's really easy. It's maybe then in the video version we can show that. It's like an overlay inside HubSpot. You're not getting
Cool. Yeah.
and then you're can either like retract something that you already did or you create new. So that's perfect and it's really really well integrated. The other thing is as well kind of an integration, so it's a connection to YouTube. So before you could connect your social media platforms, and you can still do that, so Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, but now you can as well do YouTube. So honestly, if you have Marketing Pro, there's no excuse to use any kind of social media tool because you can have it in HubSpot. The only thing that I feel like needs a little bit of fine tuning is the tracking, because sometimes you cannot see all the interactions you actually, at least I'm telling, at least with LinkedIn, because that's the one we are using the most, you don't actually see all the comments or likes that are happening in HubSpot. Sometimes it's lacking a little bit, but besides that, it's really a perfect tool. It works perfectly, and now you have YouTube, which is something I feel like the need for that was people are more and more creating long form content to then distribute it or repurposing for like short formats. And YouTube, you also have shorts, like you have Reels or TikTok. So this is perfect as well for everyone working with social media. And the other thing, which I thought was already existing, I think they called this the Mandela effect or something. But this is fun because they are doing, so this is called mobile optimization for emails. And I thought this was already existing, maybe because I think it's existing in landing pages, I believe. But now, when you're creating an email, you can decide if you're creating it for all devices, or you can create specific blocks of text, or you can hide certain elements for desktop or for mobile devices to improve responsiveness. And but I thought this was already existing. I think the reason why I never noticed it so much is because we never actually had a problem with the email being responsive. It's really working good in all email providers. So, but anyways, you sometimes you want to hide something on the mobile version, so now you can do that. So those are the three ones that I know is very specifically for marketing, but it's really something that if you're doing marketing in HubSpot, you're probably using that all the time. So it's good to know that we have it now optimized.
Perfect. Cool.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think, I mean, that's all for me today. Irving, do you want to highlight something else for today's
Yeah,
episode?
so yeah, maybe one thing as a last not comment, but as a last interesting tip. So I was asked by a customer of ours, is it possible to bring all the connections into HubSpot? So and this was a interesting challenge. So what you can do in LinkedIn, and so GDPR wise, disclaimer, it's still in a kind of a gray zone, but it's a nice thing to do really. So what you can do with your LinkedIn data is you can create an archive. This archive will give you the first name and the last name and the LinkedIn address, and in some cases the email address as well. Okay. So what I did with this customer is we push those information then into Apollo because you have the LinkedIn profile, the first name is known, the last name is known, and we enrich the data with Apollo. The success rate was really great. It was around about 65% to get back the email addresses. And then the customer decided, and also the legal department, what they were saying, and I do not want to judge on that. So every company really has to do this check for themselves. But the legal department says, okay, that's okay for me because if you are connected, there is interest of getting in contact with someone. And then we were running a campaign, and the open rate was around about 45%. And
Let's
this is great, really. So this is how you can enrich your data for sure with Apollo. Get the right email address, so the business email address, send them an email. Because for me, that shows, and this is a common study, or we know that. Back in time when I started my marketing career, we said you need 3 to 5 touch points. Now they're saying you need around about 40 or 45 touch points or even more.
yeah.
And this is a nice solution how you can get another touch points. But as always, please do not spam those people. The messaging must be relevant before doing that. So that's a quite of a highlight this month as well. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It is. I mean, but if you're connected with LinkedIn, I mean, for sure, that's a obvious interest in terms of staying connected and getting to know each other. But try to stay relevant, exactly.
Yeah.
Try to make it as normal, as natural as possible. Start a conversation. Don't sell right away. People are over it now. This is a great way to have another touch point. And I mean, nowadays, it's not linear, the journey, right? And we all know that. So just get yourself out there and make people not forget you, especially because if you're having a product or a service, just talk about it as much as you can. So then when people are ready to buy, they can remember you.
Perfect.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much to everyone listening, like to the thousands of people listening right now.
The live stream.
You have to manifest, right? Um, Thank you so much. And yeah, we'll see you in a month.
Bye bye. Thank you.
See you. Bye bye.